starting back with the point on members' motions. And I will ask you to put the first member motion in, please. I will read it. The proposer is Chairperson, seconder and policy. The 63rd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to investigate how to clarify the procedures for the conduct of elections and online elections in the terms of reference and standing orders. The outcomes of this investigation shall be presented by the 64th EPSA General Assembly as follows. I open the floor for discussion on this motion. I have clarification from the PPSA.
Seb, UK, we just want to know if you can call secret voting on motions, or is it always passed?
I can hear you, sorry.
Can you call secret votes on motions?
Anyone can ask for a secret ballot at any time. Are there any points on this motion? Pascal?
Andrei, Pascal, Romania. We'd like to point out the fact that we are in full support of this motion. First of all, because we realized that there are quite some problems with the elections, like what we've seen here as well, live, especially. For example, I would like to say that we could do vacancies before proposals for the coordinator's appointment, because as we've seen, we've had a lot of procedural motions and procedures and stuff to do, and it made the process longer, and that's why we believe it was so hard to do.
Thank you. Next. Can you lift your hands up again? Joseph?
Yes, Mr. President, as you could have stated in the previous discussion you had before the elections, the EPSA are supporting this motion.
Thank you. Are there any other points? If not, Joseph?
Thank you. I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you. Then we'll proceed to voting on the motion as it reads. The 63rd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to investigate how to clarify the procedures for the conduct of elections and online elections in terms of reference and standing orders. The outcomes of this investigation shall be presented to the 64th EPSA General Assembly at the latest. I ask who votes against this motion, if there are any abstentions, and who votes for? I have 23 votes for, none against, and no abstentions, so the motion was carried unanimously, and we move on to the next one. The 63rd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to suggest removing Article 4.4 of the EPSA IPSF Memorandum of Understanding upon its next revision. The motion is proposed by PPSA UK and seconded by SF Lithuania. I forgot to do this before, but proposer and seconder, if you want to give your motivation before I open the floor. PPSA.
Sebastian, EPSA UK. So for those that don't know, there is a memorandum of understanding that exists between EPSA and IPSF Global. It's basically a partnership agreement that creates a sort of deal between the two organisations. And in that memorandum of understanding, section 4.4 states that the IPSF European Regional Symposium educational programme shall consist of only IPSF work-related sessions and should avoid duplication or overlapping with EPSA educational events. So essentially this means that the European Symposium cannot host any non-IPSF related educational programmes. So this means that there cannot be any educational talks, workshops, presentations that run alongside the Regional Assembly for the ordinary delegates, so for the members that aren't ODs. So what this means for members of the BPSA and any association that is in this room who have joint membership of EPSA and IPSF is that your members are denied any educational opportunities and development if they attend the symposium. which really isn't ideal for any of our associations. It also makes symposium incredibly restrictive creatively for any member organisation that wishes to host it, and can create an attractive side programme for members. And I'm sure there's 2 associations in this room who have faced difficulties with this directly. So EPSA at the time said that the motivation for this part of the memorandum is because they believe that it competes directly with the summer university. And we don't believe this is a valid reason. So EPSA has 100,000 members, and only around 200 members max can attend the symposium. So that leaves a lot of members that EPSA can engage to attend international events.
So I can just talk. Is that okay?
Project your voice.
So the BPSA believes that having a more attractive international events for our members actually benefits EPSA, and it will encourage members to seek more international opportunities. So I'll conclude. So we believe that presenting this motion at today's GA, it gives EPSA like a stance from us who are EPSA members to take.
It has to be louder, we can't hear you though.
Okay, so we believe that presenting this to today's GA is the best outcome. And we have the ability in this GA to make sure that EPSA has a clear stance from us about what they would like to see in the next MOU. And they can take this further to develop this in the next draft of the MOU with IPSF before it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Secondly?
Yes, Lithuania. So we are seconding the revision and eventual removal of Article 4.4 of EPSA-IPSF Memorandum of Understanding, because we see how this puts both sides into disadvantage. Because this article has been implemented due to the supposition that IPSF event would compete with Summer University. However, we don't see this as a problem whatsoever. We believe that every European student's interest in participating in high-quality events should be granted. And however, this article prevents students from getting exposed to external actors and opportunities, while even having those would not outshine the Summer University, because first of all, we already have a long waiting list for the Summer University, and it would not be a problem. Also, IPSF only has one major event a year, whereas we have 4 major events a year. So it's kind of unfair, and simply more students would benefit from removing this, because we suppose the situation would not get worse, but we would make the situation fairer. So thank you.
Thank you. I have a technical from CPSA.
On a CPSA page, would it be possible to show the article up on the screen, because I can't find it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I will open the floor for discussion on the motion. Joseph, I also have Maeva, and I will ask the PC to please register. PC, please register, because I can't say there's no place. Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the EPSA executive, we do hear the wishes of some of the EPSA members, but we do not support this motion, as we believe that members would be able to make a well-informed decision after the outcomes of the IPSF EPSA meeting on the revision of MOU. As the revision of the MOU is planned for the mandate 2022-2023, and a discussion with IPSF are starting during the following months, as agreed by both parties at the moment, we believe following the planned steps would benefit a well-constructed decision. Indeed, the procedure explained by the PC was established to ensure that members, through both LSs and CPs, could gather sufficient feedback and information on the structure and capacities of both organizations, as well as the expertise of the elected students on the project and external representation discussed. It also ensures that the MOU follows thoroughly the members' wishes as they are to review the proposals and vote on them. Finally, we would like to bring to our attention to the fact that such a motion being publicly available to the other party could potentially harm EPSA's structure, and it would bias the negotiation procedure. We do still take note of this request, especially the President-elect and the VPR-elect, who will be in charge of these negotiations, who will be charged in these negotiations and revision of the MOU.
Thank you. In the meantime, we also have the article there, if anyone wants or needs it. I have a direct from SFD Lithuania.
SFD Lithuania, could their IPP explain what you meant by would compromise EPSA's structure and bias the decisions? If I quote you correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't know exactly what that entails. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph?
Yes, President. As in any negotiation, you have two opinions. Publicly stating your opinion in advance can put you in a disadvantage. That's a hard word to pronounce. Into harder position, and that is the explanation of this part of the statement.
Thank you. EPSA is still a direct. Go ahead.
Sebastian, UK. So, as that was more of a clarification, I feel like I can still go right. Okay. So, we disagree that this is the incorrect place to discuss this, because as a GA, this is the whole point of having a GA. Like, we're here to discuss things and form a stance. And as EPSA members, we should be mandating the executive to have stances. And yes, I'll do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Joseph.
Mr. President, I would like to inform all of the member association and the official delegates that there are better places to discuss such things. There's any other business in the GA agenda. There are also online LS meetings that any LS can contribute to the agenda. So that's why we don't see the point in discussing this matter in the motion.
Thank you. I have a direct from KPSB.
Jason KPSB Netherlands. I fully support Joseph in his opinion. Yesterday, when I saw the motion in the package, I went straight to investigate what it was all about, and we had to take time to understand a formal opinion about what it is going to do, might do. So I think we need to book a bit more time to investigate ourselves as LS, as OD, to form a build opinion about this, because it's a delicate point, and it might or might not, I don't know, harm EPSA in the long run. I know there's an email thread open for the LSs to discuss this, and I think that would be a better place to discuss this point for now.
Thank you. I have a direct from BPSA.
Sebastian, UK. So you can make this argument for any motion that we debate in the GA. Like, this is the whole point of having a GA, so that we can ask questions and formulate an opinion. You are here as a representative of your association, and you are the most well-informed person to make these decisions on behalf of your association. So if you are unsure about a stance to take, you should engage in the discussion and then form an opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the new points. Maeva.
Maeva, the coordinator. I also have some questions or comments from the alumnus also following through live stream. I have one from Patrick, previous vice president of External Relations in EPSA. It is good to make a clear distinction between the reasoning behind this motion and the impact of the motion itself. If it's clear that the reasoning behind this motion needs to be addressed and discussed. However, the impact of this motion on the executive operation goes further than only not implementing these specific points in the MOU. This motion could potentially undermine the mandate of the VPER, the next one, because the motion is specifically aimed at one detail, the point 4.4, of one task, the negotiation of the MOU with IPSF, of whom responsibility is the Vice President of External Relations as well. The contents of and reasoning behind this motion should thoroughly be discussed via other platforms and mediums. These platforms and mediums carry enough strength to steer the VPER in his negotiation, but avoid him leverage.
Thank you. Then we'll proceed. Audit.
Dear de France, dear General Assembly, INF has really high and big concern about this motion. We all know that the memorandum will be discussed and negotiated during the next year. Taking any step by voting a motion like that can be potentially dangerous and harmful for EPSA. INF agrees that the memorandum shall be discussed and that every member should voice their opinion on it, but doing it now, without having discussed it before with the President, VPR, IPSF, and all the past persons that actually worked and write this article is really not relevant.
Thank you. Next, KMPSV.
Elena KMPSV, we were wondering if anyone has discussed this with IPSF, whether someone, an OG, can elaborate on this, or the exec themselves, or maybe the present member of IPSF, what do they think about this?
Yes, VPSF.
Sebastian, UK. We don't think it's relevant what IPSF says about this because we're EPSA, right? We're EPSA members. And this motion. Sorry, I wasn't trying to follow. So it's not relevant because we're here to make a decision on behalf of EPSA, and we should be saying what stance EPSA should have. It doesn't matter what IPSF thinks at this point. Like if we see that
we can hear you. I'm sorry. Technical from Marianne.
Marlene, Secretary General, I know the GA is here to discuss between members, but if you want to have it minuted, I need to actually understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Then direct from SFD.
So the concern about what is IPSF's opinion, so we are literally making a favor for them. We can kind of assume that
we have a technical here.
I think the Secretary General, if BPSA wants its points into the minutes, then please repeat.
And they dropped the point. Keep going, SFD.
Yes, Lithuania. So we are making a favor for IPSF while not jeopardizing our, anything. So we can assume that they would be in favor of this. And also the argument, have you consulted them, is the same as, have we consulted UPSA whether we want the discount for membership fee? No, we haven't, but we still made a decision. So, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Going back to, never mind, I have a point of information from Joseph.
Yes, President, just to inform you, MSU did reach out to us ahead of time asking if we can, how they should manage their membership fee, and we proactively suggested to them that we will cancel their tax. So let's stay to the facts.
Technical from SFL.
Commission not MSU, but UPSA. But, okay.
Thank you. A direct from BPSA UK.
So as in UK, so the proposers and seconders did not approach MSU and EPSA before making these motions. We're here to make the stance and have a discussion. We can form opinions in this gym.
Thank you. I ask that we go back to the motion that we are actually discussing. New points can be a speech. No? EPSA Ireland.
EPSA Ireland. The point that I just want to make is that we are all representatives of our associations and of the students that are within our associations, and I think that removing this would be beneficial to the students because it will give them more opportunities for education, educational events, and also the points that, EPSA has the 4 events in the year, IPSF has the 1 main event during the year. I think it just broadens the opportunities that students can go to do international events, that they look forward to more international events the more that they're on. I can't see any real disadvantage to having this motion to come through if you're thinking about the students that you represent, rather than the goals of associations or different things like that. Again, the point that there's 100,000 students represented by EPSA, it's, and there's maximum 200 tickets per event for the symposium and summer university respectively. That's such a small amount of students that actually get to attend these things. Like I've heard just over this weekend, or over this week, the amount of students who are waiting to go, who are on the wait list for summer university, for example. If this program had the educational events, that might make it more appealing for students to go to this, to the IPS events. So all I'm saying is just basically think of the students that you are representing.
Thank you. Joseph?
Mr. President, thank you for your point. I would like to add on behalf of the executive that we do have an ongoing problem with getting hosts for events. Adding additional event wouldn't help this either.
Thank you, Joseph. Go.
EPSA Ireland. Sorry, I'm not sure. Sorry, maybe I confused you, but I didn't mean adding an additional event. I just meant adding the educational program to the current symposium.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm not talking about adding additional events. We have the 4 EPSA events and IPSF Europe. If there would be any addition to the educational program, it would require more resources from the organization committee to do so, and it would also impose more resources on the association that would be doing so. We see that there is an ongoing problem that associations don't have the resources to do the events. This might just make it harder for them.
Thank you. BPSA?
So just because they can have educational programs doesn't mean that they have to have educational programs. At the moment, they don't have a choice whether they can or they can't. Like, that option is removed for any RCs who are hosting symposiums.
Thank you, SFB. Okay, then we'll register you as a new point. EPSA, is there a direct to what Sebastian just said? Go ahead.
EPSA Ireland. Just to kind of agree with what Sebastian said, that there is no choice for the IPSF to have this, so they can't even try and figure out if they can get the resources, if they can manage to find resources, different things like this for the events. So I understand that it can be a problem, just like it is in every association. I think every association can relate to something like that, but if there is the want and the drive to have the educational events, then obviously they will have to try and find the resources for all of them, and that's part of it, but they don't even have the choice to try to get these resources because they're not allowed.
Thank you. We'll move on to the new points. I'll just tell you that we still have 9 points to be discussed. First, EPSA ends.
Ilgim EPSA in Turkey. Actually, we agree for the this is discussing at the AOB, and also maybe investigating as LSs. I can help you about that, and I can say we are organizing this year, and it's really hard to find to do something. I mean, we have RA and we have competitions, but if a participant doesn't want to go to a competition or RA, we think there should be an educational program to make it more efficient and beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
This is why I'm in Portugal, but you can still have an educational program. If we're not mistaken, the article only states that you cannot have an educational program that is not related to IPSF. So you can have IPSF trainings, for example.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Going back to the new points, we have PPSA Poland.
We have PPSA Poland. Well, we see the reasoning behind this motion. PPSA Poland agrees with the line of the executive and also the honorary line number and the points that were already stated in the room. We believe that we are currently in the EPSA General Assembly, and it's up for the EPSA to represent also the interests of EPSA, not defend the interests of IPSF. While we agree that there is an issue and PPSA Poland has experience in organizing yours, we believe that this motion could be either carried on the IPSF, be it Regional General Assembly, or discussed furtherly during the ALICE meetings. And we should also not forget that there's also a need for mutual communication between the IPSF and the EPSA, between the respective positions that are responsible for the negotiation. And we agree that by voting for this motion, we could hinder the discussion that will be taking place very soon, and that it's also the memorandum of understanding to our mind is a matter of compromise. So it may be possible that we eventually drop the 4.4 in order to gain something in return in another division. But I don't think it's optimal for EPSA to support this right now, and we'd rather have it discussed furtherly in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. BPSA has a direct.
Sebastian, EK. So, like we said in the proposal speak, we don't think this actually benefits EPSA either. So, it would actually be beneficial for EPSA to remove this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Going back to the new points, Maeva.
Madam Coordinator, a proposal that also came from some of the alumni that are currently watching the live stream will be maybe for you to either lie on the table, maybe this motion until the next GA for you to have proper investigation from the executive, from the members, to also properly talk between LS and CP, because there are discussions over email, minutes, meetings that maybe you should try to consult to understand the reasoning behind these points, and also maybe use the email group that has been created for LSs and CPs to start the discussion and also follow up on it during the MOU revision. They're advising you to maybe take more time to investigate and get all the proper information before mandating anything specific. Thank you.
Thank you, Maeva. If anyone needs clarification on this procedure, for a motion to lie on the table, you have to propose the 9.6 and specify the timeline to when you want to discuss the motion again. SFB?
Yes, directly replying to what has been said, it made a lot of sense. Actually, we brought this up so that we could draw attention to this. And as XXIX said, later it's going to be negotiated and reviewed anyway. So once we have actually made up our mind, investigated, talked with all the relevant stakeholders, then we're happy to make the decision. So, Council proposed 9.
Thank you, Yusuf. Dropped. We'll go back to the new point. I will just tell you that
9.6.
I have a 9.6 proposed by PEF and seconded by SFB. I will ask the proposer to when you want to postpone the discussion on this motion.
What's the line on the table now?
Yes, 9.6 is a motion that the motion under discussion lies on the table. It's debatable but not amendable, and if carried, the discussion and voting on the original motion will be postponed to a specified time in the future. This allows the participants to discuss the motion outside of the General Assembly and gather more information if needed. Thank you. And now, proposer.
As we were discussing, it makes a lot of sense to investigate more about this concern. So we propose to amend it until the next month or maybe 2 months. I want to see some feedback from you. So since I don't know how much it would take us to decide it. For example, 1 month, it would be okay or?
It needs to be a specified time in the future, so you could say an on-last meeting, you could say the next GA.
Okay. How about the next GA? Yeah.
Seconder, do you agree? Yes. Yes? Okay, then I open the floor for discussion on this 9.6, PPSA.
Sebastian, UK, I'm under the impression this is going to be revised anyway before the next GA, so that would be too late. Thank you.
Point of information from Joseph?
Yes, Mr. President, the current IPSF EPSA MOU ends with the year 2023. The negotiations will start during once the new board of IPSF, so the future one, they'll start at the beginning of October. That's the time when the negotiation will start officially. But we did pre-discuss that since this is a very sensitive matter and it needs time, it could be also, or it could be started to be handled, sorry for the English, during the handover period, because there will be also a handover period for the IPSF regional officers.
Thank you. PPSA?
Michał PPSA Poland, concerning the fact that there will be already discussion in progress while the next GA is taking place. We don't really see the reasoning behind voting on this motion, as there may be already some further solutions to discuss, and there will be online analyst meetings in the meantime. Thus, we wouldn't support this procedural motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other points? Joseph?
Mr. President, I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you. Then we'll proceed to voting on the 9.6 in order for this motion to be discussed at the next General Assembly. I ask if anyone's against this motion. Please vote all at the same time and not when you're seeing other people vote. Okay. I'm just going to explain again. You can lower your voting cards. If this motion passes, the 9.6 passes, the motion that's on the screen will be discussed at the next GA. Okay. Who is in favor of the 9.6? No, who is against the 9.6? Sorry. Thank you. Who abstains? 2 abstentions, and 9 against. So the motion, the 9.6 was approved, and the motion on the screen will be discussed at the 64th General Assembly. We'll move on with the agenda. And the next point of the agenda is reviewing the list of working statements. Please open the list. I will go through the working statements as I did in all these meetings. For example, I will read one, see if there are any points, and if not, I'll continue. Working statement number 1, the 60th EPSA General Assembly accepts AISPA Italy as EPSA associate member and mandates them to settle their debt to EPSA incurred by not paying the EPSA membership fees, the late fees, and IMP fees related to offers number 50, 51, and 53 by the 64th EPSA General Assembly, the latest. Before this debt is settled, AISPA is not eligible to apply for ordinary membership. Failure to fulfill this will result in loss of membership status. The 61st EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive and the EPSA Professional Affairs Coordinator to investigate the workload of the EPSA Professional Affairs Coordinator and strategies to optimize it. The outcomes of the investigation shall be presented at the 63rd EPSA General Assembly, the latest. This motion is being proposed. Yeah, Yoso.
As a President, as explained also in the document, the comments, but I'll also state a quick comment on the working statement. This will be dropped, and as it was approved, it will be followed up by the investigation of the whole restructure that was done in the past Monday.
Thank you. Working statement number 3, the 61st EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive and the EPSA Educational Affairs Coordinator to investigate implementing the e-learning platform into LEAP. The outcomes, together with future steps, shall be presented at the 63rd EPSA General Assembly, the latest. Yusuf?
As a President, the outcomes have been presented at this GA, so this motion, working statement, will be dropped.
Thank you. Move on to the next one. The 61st EPSA General Assembly adopts COMEX, the future is now, as the topic for the 18th EPSA Autumn Assembly 2022. Fifth working statement, the 62nd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to update all EPSA regulations according to the changes to the regulations approved by the 62nd EPSA General Assembly, which will be dropped. Joseph already explained today. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly allows the EPSA Executive to be reimbursed up to €500 for travel costs from the EPSA budget to host live executive meetings between the 62nd EPSA General Assembly and the 63rd EPSA General Assembly. Joseph?
Yes, President, as it is usually done with these kind of things, it is tested out through working statements for a few mandates, and if it proves to be a good potential change, it will be introduced. We will be dropping and not introducing this motion in future, as it is already reflected in the budget.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll move on to working statement number 7. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to form the Statutes Working Group for the revision of the EPSA statutes. The working group shall deliver the proposal for the changes by the 63rd General Assembly. Joseph?
Yes, President, I'm still hoping that we will have time for the extraordinary GA, so the Statutes Revision Working Group can see the results of their hard work during the past few months on the revision of the statutes themselves.
Thank you, Joseph. Working statement number 8, the 62nd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to perform an investigation on how to grow EPSA's presence in Brussels and engagement with the stakeholders. The results of the investigation shall be presented to the 64th General Assembly at the latest. Joseph?
Yes, President, to give you an update on this, the current EPSA Executive starting the first part of the investigation, which is basically brainstorming on the areas. And we will focus on this during the handover period, so we will ensure that the ideas gathered so far will be transmitted correctly to the upcoming EPSA Executive, so they can take this and conclude the investigation.
Thank you, Joseph. Working statement number 9, the 62nd EPSA General Assembly suspends Article 22.1.2 of Torso until 1st of September 2022. Working statement number 10, the 62nd EPSA General Assembly mandates that members who have not paid their membership fee by the start of the 63rd EPSA General Assembly shall be considered in the arrears for the year 2022. Joseph?
Yes, President, I'll take the last two motions together in an explanation because they are very much connected. In the current EPSA regulations, we are heavily relying in many definitions on the events themselves. Since this year we didn't have AC, but we have just the General Assembly, we have to do these suspension and changes so we can bind the payment of the membership fees to this GA and not to the AC that we don't have. And those will be dropped because we are past this GA.
Thank you, Joseph. In the last working statement, the 62nd EPSA General Assembly mandates the EPSA Executive to investigate the visa application system for all countries represented in EPSA. The first update shall be given at the 63rd EPSA General Assembly, and the results of the investigation shall be presented to the 65th EPSA General Assembly at the latest. Joseph?
Yes, President, this was presented to you in the separate point on the agenda. Thank you for the input so far, and we will make sure that this investigation so far will be correctly transmitted to the next executive. So again, they can follow up on the investigation done so far.
Thank you, Joseph. Then I'll ask PC to show the motion. Just to explain, all the motions that were voted today by the executive and the member motion, since they were approved by the GA, they will be added to the list of working statements. And now I'll read the motion. The 63rd EPSA General Assembly approves the amended list of working statements. I open the floor for discussion on the motion. Joseph?
Yes, President, I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you. We proceed to voting on the motion as it reads. The 63rd EPSA General Assembly approves the amended list of working statements. I ask who votes against, if there are any abstentions, and who votes for. I have 23 votes for, none against, and no abstention. The motion was carried unanimously. And we'll move on to the next point of the agenda, which is the election of honorary life members. No, the forum? Yes. For this, I will just share a video that the proposer asked me to share.
To express my opinion on the nomination of Patrick as an HLM. So when I think of Patrick, I think of EPSA. I think EPSA has been a big part of Patrick's life, and I think also vice versa. Patrick has been a big part of EPSA in the last few years. I have known Patrick in several positions within EPSA, starting as LS, and after that Treasurer and VP External Relations. So, starting as LS, I was in the KPSV work with Patrick while he was being LS. And that year I saw the incredible enthusiasm and hard work he put in to make EPSA a better association. And that enthusiasm of him convinced me to join the EPSA team 1 year later. Me as being grants coordinator, reporting to Patrick being treasurer. During that period, I saw the work Patrick did as a treasurer, and that was quite incredible, because what Patrick did was revise all the bookkeeping. He saw the bookkeeping was not up to his standards, so what did he do? He not only changed his own bookkeeping, but also the bookkeeping of the treasurers the years before him. Next to that, he made the EPSA finances more transparent for its members. Finances is not something most pharmacy students are very familiar with, so making this more clear and more better to understand for the GA is very important for the association. 1 year later, as me being treasurer and Patrick being VPDR, what Patrick did was make the association even more professional. Firstly, by getting more sponsor contracts, making EPSA more financially stable, which I very much liked as treasurer, of course. And next to that, creating more EPSA internships, something EPSA is still benefiting from now to date. The years after that, Patrick continued his line as alumni advisory board. So, in conclusion, what did Patrick do for EPSA? He made EPSA a more professional organization, and he made EPSA much more transparent for its members. So, dear GA, please allow EPSA of having Patrick as HLM, so his valuable input can help EPSA grow also in the future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm happy to support Patrick's nomination as HLM. We work together in EPSA first as LSs, then as team members, and now as alumni. Whenever Patrick raises his hand, you know a tough question is coming, but you also know that it will be followed by a constructive discussion that will take into account all different points of view and ultimately result in what's best for EPSA and its members.
Hi everyone. I had the pleasure to follow Patrick during these years in EPSA and all the work that he has done, and I'm happily supporting him to become an honorary life member. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chairperson and I'm also an EPSA president. I believe that a lot of people do a very good job during the EPSA positions, but not many are willing to invest as much time and effort as Patrick did in order to excel. Patrick excelled as an EPSA LS and also in his executive board positions, where he made long-lasting changes to how EPSA handles finance and cemented the way for the association to more than double its presence in Brussels. Finally, he was a continuous help to later executives by being an alumni advisory board. Those are the main reasons I believe Patrick should be appointed as an EPSA honorary life member. Thank you.
My dearest Patricio, of course, I didn't want to lose this opportunity to be here. This is well deserved. I want to congratulate you from the bottom of my heart. The connection that we have, it has been few years already. You were the LS when I was applying for president, and you were a brilliant LS. You were the best treasurer I could have. You were a great executive member, and your energy was so precious every time for our team. You took the best of your years as EPSA team member, and you're continuously supporting the team for their decisions with precious information. So this is well deserved. I wish there are more Patricks like you in the future. So congratulations. I miss you a lot. Beijing, Beijing.
And that was the video. I will also ask the proposer if they want to say something before we move on to internal discussion.
I didn't think I looked at the most it's because of Patrick. I started with it's because of Patrick. I started Games League, and I'm just very proud and very thankful.
Madame France, HANEF is very proud and honored to second Patrick to become an HLA, especially since we have always been supporting Patrick in every position that he was running for in EPSA, and he never failed us. More than being an active member, Patrick has shown his big commitment, not only by being in the EPSA team, but by making all of his mandates a true success. He has not only shined in those positions, but brought new ideas, projects, and many things that are still implemented in EPSA, and with what EPSA wouldn't be that it is today. After all of his mandates, he always stayed very active as an alumni, always been present to give his opinion and advice for the good of the association. Part of the AAB for 2 years now. Also, we could observe during this GA, he has been participating a lot with questions during the election of the team and also during the discussion.
Thank you. Can you please speak?
Elina KP Sweden Netherlands, happy to Jason speak on behalf of both of us. So the KPSV is very proud to be able to propose Patrick as an EPSA honorary life member. As you can see in the honorary life member nomination sheet, Patrick has been involved in EPSA since 2014 in several positions, as we've also heard in the videos. Here he's been performing his duties with utmost passion and motivation. He's gone far above and beyond his performing in his task, and even now EPSA is still getting its fruit worth of information, advice, and help from Patrick. As Franz also mentioned, his name has been mentioned not only asking questions in this GA, but also during Tiago's part, where he helped out once again. And this shows he's still very involved, not only in the Alumni Advisory Board, and he will go far beyond what is actually expected of him. So we are sure EPSA will be more fruitful with him, and we totally see for Patrick as an HLM. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other point that they wish to say before we move on to internal discussion? Then we will move on to internal discussion. I will ask Claire to turn off the live stream.